Today we have a bunch of new cards to cover, including a new Enchanted, as well as a look at the unique foil for Whisper cards. Let's check it out. What's up, Illuminators? It's Charlie Amethyst back with more card reveals to cover with you all. They're coming thick and fast as they always do during reveal season. We're over halfway now, I think.
I'm sure. I haven't counted, but I'm sure.
Yeah, Matthias handles the tracker. So let's waste no time and jump right in. But before we look at the cards themselves, we wanted to take a little zoom in, a little look at some of the details of the cards. One of the really great things this set is that as soon as the app's updated every morning, all of the cards from the previous day are added there, which means we get to look a little bit deeper at the cards, including at the foil treatments that are applied to them. And we saw the unique foil treatment that's being applied to the Whisper cards.
Yeah, so that's pretty much every single Whisper so far. So I'm guessing it's going to be for all Whisper. Actually, I'm sure it's going to be for all Whisper. If you go to the app and you apply the foil effect, you can check card by card. The Whispers almost have a similar finish to what we first saw with the Stitch card, that green Stitch card that came with one of the gift set. That's right, yeah. The gift set. Super, super cool. It makes sense. I think it makes very almost like a ghostio, right? What is the word? Ethereal look of sort of things. So that's very special. And again, a quick reminder, we're not talking about the single player deck Whispers, which also has its own foil finish, right? We don't know how they look like yet. That's another layer. Every single Whisper you get, as long as it's a foil, should have that effect, and it looks stunning.
And they call it a rainbow foil, I think, in the app.
I believe that's a rainbow foil type of foil. We are putting on screen an example of that with Ariel, but we can't wait to open up the product.
I've got to say, as soon as we get product, as soon as we can share it with you, we are going to be looking deeper at how those
with
show
our
up in
magnifying glass.
In reality, because it looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So that's it for the updates, and then we're going to go straight onto the cards. And we're looking at this, the Black Cauldron. This is an enchanted card for Amber, which was revealed during one of the Discord main stages this week, and absolutely stunning. So cool.
Fantastic,
so cool.
Fantastic. I think one of the things that the artist said is that, I think was the game director said, what they try to do here is ensuring that all the lighting comes from the energy that comes through the Black Cauldron itself. So you can see that reflecting across the board with the skeletons and everything around. Again, I'm a huge fan when they add elements of actual characters alongside items. And I think they did a great job. And obviously being the introduction to the Black Cauldron, it only makes sense. And one thing that I really like as well, obviously since Fable, the Enchanteds have this gold looking finish. Yeah. And with an item, which is the first time we see an item after Fable start, so with the new finish, right, for Enchanted, I'm looking forward to see up close and in person the actual bars, because every single item has the gold bar around, right? As you can see on the screen. Imagine that actually if it's in a gold finish, right? It's going to look so beautiful.
I was just looking there at the glass slipper, which was another item that had an Enchanted, and they didn't...
Also for Amber.
And they didn't add the border in that case, so they've done that. It's a unique thing that they use to signify items in the game, so it's nice to see that. And I love how metal and spooky this card is. It's great to see the Cauldron-born characters there as well, the skeletons. So looks incredible. Normally not too hyped about items.
Yeah, but this one.
This one, I think a lot of people are going to want this one just because of the cult value of the
So far, all Enchanters we're seeing, I wouldn't mind any of them. They're all great. So
absolutely.
Hopefully we get to see more.
Gorgeous. And then, okay, so let's look at the cards themselves. So first up is Webby's Diary, 3-cost inkable item with the ability latest entry. Whenever you put a card under one of your characters or locations, you may pay 1 ink to draw a card. So kind of like a draw engine if you have an Amber deck full of a lot of boost characters, because essentially this is going to let you negate that card disadvantage. Well, not even card disadvantage because you're playing from your deck, but it's a way of adding more cards to your hand whilst also boosting your characters, which I do like a lot.
It is interesting. You're still having the cost of 1, obviously, but no one will complain as long as they can draw cards from that, right? I'm trying to think which type of deck will play this, right?
I think
that's the hard part.
That is the
But
hard
there will be
parts,
boost decks. I'm sure people will start creating decks
absolutely
around the boost mechanic, so that's a perfect one.
Yeah, for me the challenge is just like a 3-cost item.
You have to pay an additional cost.
It doesn't really change the board state. It's just something that's going to generate card advantage. So I mean, we saw it with something like Maurice's Workshop in an item heavy heavy build in Sapphire, because you have so much ink, it's really not a problem to be paying that 1 ink every time.
Yeah.
But you've also got to remember most of the boosting is done by paying ink on a character, except for a few abilities. So you are in most cases going to have to pay ink and then pay this. So not so sure how powerful it'll be, but as Matteo said,
it supports the mechanic. It makes sense to have something like that. And may I just say that the reveal itself, well, you have to watch it. There's a whole sequence, but at the end, they actually find the diary in the library, and I think they recreated the real diary because it's literally a physical object, unless they did a great job to edit on post-production. So cool. I just wanted that diary just send over to us because it's amazing.
It's Panda Quests, right?
Pandarica Quest, I think so.
Yeah.
It was, right?
Yeah.
So cool.
Really great reveal from them. Next up, we're looking at Bagheera. He is a prudent explorer, is I guess the literal translation. We'll see what it actually is. And then a 3-cost inkable, 4/4 questing for 1 vanilla.
Strong.
It is strong,
right?
yeah. So we talked about it a little bit in the last video, how we're seeing a little bit of power creep. The character's getting an extra strength or an extra willpower, because generally the 3-cost inkable vanillas in this slot are either 4/3s or 3/4s. So this is a 4/4. So quite powerful. And interestingly, they've done this in Amber, which is a color and ink that's not often associated with strength, right? It's more willpower, but really nice to see. Definitely a good vanilla card, definitely going to be good in limited formats. And he is an ally, so maybe in an ally deck, but I'm not so sure otherwise. But
it's stunning. Arts, it's stunning from Briar Wines. It's just stunning.
Next up, we have Goofy Ghost Hunter. So we did mention that there are a few Ghost Hunter characters coming out. It's a 4-cost inkable, 4/5 questing for 1 with the ability The Perfect Trap. When you play this character, choose an opposing character. That character gets -1 strength until the start of your next turn. We saw the Floodborn Goofy, who has a similar effect that's applied to all characters when he's played. Potentially, this is going to be the Goofy you want to shift him onto, so you can play a Goofy Ghost Hunter and then shift on the Floodborn afterwards. But again, decent stats, and the fact he has like an on-play ability that can be impactful, that can be combined with things, but that can also protect your characters. I do think this is quite a good one. And
he's a detective. Again, we cannot forget, right? He has the detective classification, which will have a big impact with Whispers in the Well.
And love the art, the outfits. It's just amazing. Yeah.
It's the Fab 5, Fab 6 or whatever. Like they always look so stunning. Yeah.
They really put all of the effort in. So that's it for the Amber cards. So we're going to drop them into the tracker now. And every set, the art just gets better and better. Like it was amazing to start with. That's why we started playing the game, because we loved the art, and then just seeing it, getting just so good every time. So good.
Pro.
So, okay, we're going to go over into Amethyst, and one of Matthew's favorite characters.
Favorite character, favorite card, favorite color, favorite everything, usually.
This is Cheshire Cat, Inexplicable, 3-cost inkable, 3/4, questing for 1. He's a Whisper. You can boost him for 2, and he has the ability, it's loads of fun. Whenever you put a card into this character, you may move up to 2 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So moving damage was one of those abilities that didn't really, I think, have its full potential, just because there was so much efficient removal in the game. But as we've seen with the fabled metagame, these abilities where you're moving damage actually are
starting to pay off a lot.
Are quite powerful. So being able to do that turn after turn after turn could be quite good. One of the things it's worth calling out with boost cards.
I wanted to say that once.
Yeah, we'll see it with some other ones, but in most cases, the boost ability is once during your turn, so it's not like you can trigger this multiple times just with the Cheshire Cat on his own. But of course, we've seen characters and actions and items that all boost your character, so they will be kind of what you need to sustain this if you want to do this multiple times.
So I think pretty much what we're trying to say is we don't know if there are other methods to boost, right? Right now, if you're looking at the card itself and the cost of boosting the card itself, it's also always once during your turn. So we're not even talking about the ability, we're talking about the boost mechanics side of things. And a lot of people are forgetting that. They're just reading the ability and forgetting, actually, even if this card says whenever you put a card under this character, right now that whenever is also always only once during the turn, because you have to go through the condition of the boosting mechanic. But still, super cool. And I'm calling this already. This card is from Alice Pisoni, so again, amazing. And I can imagine another Alice Pisoni card being translated into an enchanted. I think it's the time for Cheshire's Cats to get an enchanted.
He hasn't had one, right?
He never had one.
No, he had that incredible super rare in Emerald, which would have been an amazing.
But again, I prefer this one now. Now that I saw this one, it's like they're all so beautiful. I think this one is gonna get an enchant. No, am I correct? How many enchants? It's 3. We saw 2 enchanted already for
Amethyst.
Did we see 2?
I don't know.
Okay, no, we didn't. We saw only Demona, right, so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're gonna get an enchanted Cheshire's Cat, and I hope Alice Pisson actually does the enchanted as well because I love her art. Imagine everything being transparent, just his smiling and all the glowing. Yeah, fantastic.
Love to see that. And then the last card we have today for us in Amethyst is Iago, fuming with rage, 2 cost inkable, 0/2 questing for 1 with Challenger +5, which is kind of insane. So that he becomes a 5/2 on turn 2. If Amethyst didn't have enough tools already to be dealing with their opponent's board. Yeah, I really like this one. It's just such an efficient, cheap card that if you're able to use the Challenger +5 is just going to really take over that early game. It's going to make your opponent not want to quest with their characters. If you're able to give him something like evasive, then he can take out an opponent genie as well. So there's a lot of utility with this one, and I'm sure he's going to be seeing play in Amethyst.
I'm sure he's so cheap as well, right? And really, that's the first time we see Challenger +5, right? Without accumulating, I think, on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think, like, we've seen decks running the 1-cost Rafiki because of the Challenger 3, and I think Iago is a perfectly good upgrade to that. So, yeah, I like it a lot. So let's drop those 2 cards into the tracker super quick. Let's not waste too much time. And then we're going to go over to Emerald. And okay, starting us off in Emerald, we have Goldie O'Gilt, Cunning Prospector. Completely unbiased, but our favorite card from the set.
I wonder why.
Yeah, she's a 3-cost inkable, 3/4, questing for 1 storyborn, and she has 2 abilities. The first one is Claim Jumper. When you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a location card of your choice. And Strike Gold. Whenever this character quests, you may put a location card from chosen players discard on the bottom of their deck to gain 1 lore. Of course, this is the card we revealed. If you haven't watched our reveal yet, check it out. We'll link it above. It was a lot of fun to do. It was super stupid. We really were practicing our acting abilities. So check it out.
Without no success.
So we didn't, in our reveal, talk about Goldie just because it was kind of long as it was. But now it is our chance to talk about it. And I think actually a pretty decent card. Like we talked about earlier, the stat line of a 3-cost character is generally 3/4 or 4/3. So she's kind of online with a vanilla card, so already pretty decent base stats. But then if we do see a lot of locations in the metagame, we do have a few like quite powerful locations coming in. Definitely a good tech choice you could add to an Emerald deck, maybe as a 2-of, in order to be able to discard locations before your opponent plays them. I think that's definitely a use case. Interesting thing about the Strike Gold ability is that, yes, it can be your opponent's discard that you're removing a location from to gain the 1 lore, but it can be also yours. So if you build like an Emerald location deck, then you can also use Goldie on your own locations that have been banished. So it's nice having the double utility there.
That is true. And I think really when we're seeing across some of the latest cards we saw for Whispers in the Wild, there's a lot of hints and synergies with location, which I think is still going to surprise us, and a lot of new locations will be introduced for the next sets and ongoing, right? Which makes sense, right? It's a fixed mechanic. So this is the type of card that can only get better over time, right? To the point that if we see a strong location as it was for a long time, the Queen's Castle when it was in that meta back then, I could imagine everyone running Emerald running this card just because of that. So super cool. And again, super thank you to Ravensburg and North America for giving us this chance. We had a lot of time. I would say I enjoyed this review even more than the last one, I think, because as you know by now, I love ducks. I love DuckTales. I love Donald Duck. So when they assigned this card to us, I was over the moon. And that's the first time we see Goldie O'Gilt in Disney Lorcana as well. So that's her first moment. So we got to reveal that.
We keep getting tagged on Twitter by different DuckTales accounts who are really psyched to see Goldie in the game. So that's great.
And we are as well.
Yeah, and it was a good excuse for us to go for a hike because I managed to convince Matthias to do a 20k round hike to film in a cave. So thank you, Ravensburger, again. And happy to see Goldie in the game. Next up, we have Finnick Tiny Terror, a 1-cost inkable 1/2 questing for 1 with the ability You Better Run. When you play this character, you may pay 2 ink to return chosen opposing character with 2 strength or less to their player's hand. And our replacement for Kit Cloudkicker Tough Guy, who was rotated out of the game. I do like as I've said before, I like these characters in Emerald where you can choose to pay that extra ink if you want to. So if there's not a situation to use Finnick, then you just play her for 1 and you've got a character on board. But if there is the opportunity to play her, then you can play the 2 versus Cloud Kicker, who you were really making that full investment even if your opponent didn't have something to bounce back to hand. And we know Tiana has been kind of one of the most powerful cards in the Fabled metagame in Amber Steel decks and even Amber Emerald decks at the moment. So Finnick is the perfect counter to her, and I suspect is going to be the reason you see Tiana's value starting to drop now on TCG Player, because I think it's good to have a clean answer to Tiana in Emerald.
It is interesting again. Yeah, you're saying it's a low cost card. Finnick is also not as strong as Cloud Kicker by 1 strength, right? It's a 1/2 instead. But for the balancing sake and the fact that you can play earlier as well, I do like it.
Yeah. Exactly. So cool card there. Next up, we have Vladimir Ceramic Unicorn Fan, a 6-cost inkable, 5/6 questing for 2 with the ability High Standards. Whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item. I've got to say, first of all of these Tangled Viking characters, just incredible. Insane. There was no need for the art to go as hard as it does in this card. Like so Jackham Van Gool completely killed it. Like the lighting on Vladimir's arm.
He's buffed.
Incredible. I love the name of this card. I think it probably, this is going to be a tech card if we do see a lot of items in the metagame. I do think that maybe he's a little bit expensive. You probably want to run something a little bit more efficient in order to deal with items that come down a little bit cheaper, rather than having to commit 6 ink to be able to banish an item. And it's also on quest, which is another thing. It could be a little bit slow if your opponent's able to remove him, especially because we know by the time most decks get to 7 ink this turn, they have a lot of removal at their disposal. But even so, just love this card.
And we're getting also the fire as well, right? The Maleficent Dragonfire, so more ways to remove as well, right? So it's gonna get easier again. I do have a comment quickly. That's actually, for the first time ever, this is a card that was drew by Jacques Van Gogh and announced by an artist, which was actually Jacques Van Gogh. So he announced his own card. So that's super, super cool to see. I hope more artists get to announce their own cards. When I say announce, I mean reveal, obviously. So super great job again. We love your cards, and it's nice to see you there.
And then next up, we have Aquila Forest Runner, a 3-cost inkable, a 2/5 questing for 1 with the ability Ahead of the Pack. Pay 1, this character gets +1 this turn. So it's a little bit of an evolution on the Stitch Little Trickster from Azurite Sea. He was a 2-cost that had the same kind of ability. Personally, I much prefer Aquila. I think a 2/5 start line is just really good. It's difficult for a lot of decks to remove a 2/5, and that means also that Aquila will stick around and you'll be able to use this ability kind of hopefully more than once to take down your opponent's threats. Like Stitch, there's no kind of limit to this. As long as you have ink, you can do this as many times as you want. Exactly. So you can buff up Aquila to take something down. So I really like this one. And again, just crazy art. It's so beautiful.
So cool. It's nice to see more cards from the franchise as well. And I'm just seeing on the piece of lore, they are referring to the Bitterwood, which is a brand new location. We'll see in Ruby later on. There's the card location for that as well. So that's cool. The story is all over.
Can't wait to see that. Next, we have Little John, Impermanent Outlaw, 6-cost, uninkable, 4/5 questing for 3. He's a boost 3 with the ability Ready to Wrestle. Whenever you put a card under this character, ready him. And this was kind of what we saw online. A lot of people were really excited about this. They felt like if you've got infinite ink, then you can just have this crazy combo with Little John where you just keep questing until you win the game. But as we pointed out, his boost ability is just once during your turn. So he'll be able to quest for 6, which is still pretty good if he's able to stick to the board, but you will need something extra if you want to be able to make him quest for 9 or 12. So something like Recovered Page that will allow you to put an extra card under Little John. I was gonna suggest the Scrooge, but he's only when you play a new one. It's not when you play him. But yeah, I'm sure we're gonna see more cards that put cards under characters, and then it will make Little John actually quite a formidable threat. And I think even so, just being able to quest him for 6 is gonna make a lot of people want to remove him pretty quickly.
Even though he's an inkable, right? That's the hard part to justify, because it's so late game in an inkable in Emerald. But if you're doing Emerald and Sapphire, hopefully you'll get to that quicker. I'm gonna repeat myself all the time. I love all the whispers. I love how magical they look like. I can't wait to see on the foil format, and that's an art for Nicholas Cole. So again,
I don't know if you know, maybe you know, I wasn't able to watch the main stages this week, but the paper effect is different on the different cards, right? It's not always kind of bent and creased and torn in the
you mean the frame layout?
Yeah, so like at the bottom left of Little John, you see it's curling in on the bottom.
I made
right?
a comment. So in the review video that we did, for this set, Whispers in the Well, I only noticed that in Robin Hood. Because Robin Hood is the most extreme. It really folds on the top right. But then what I realized after, and I think that's the case, is there's 6 frame layouts, I think. And they are using differently. Because then I think the Gramada, Fairy Gramada that we're going to see in steel has the same layout as Robin Hood, which is also in steel. So maybe that's the approach. Because at that point I told people, like, keep checking. I think this card is unique because there's a different frame. But no, they change between the cards.
It would be pretty expensive, I think, if they...
But even doing 6 versions, right? For me, is also very expensive, actually.
But it's a really nice
super cool.
So maybe it's based on the color.
Yeah.
So next up we have Car Hidden Serpent, a 7-cost inkable, 6/7, questing for 3, evasive.
Yeah.
Really beefy stats. Going to be a card you want in your limited format. I think probably just 7 cost, kind of tricky for lots of decks to get him to come down and stick on the board. But if you're able to get him to quest even once or twice, and with the evasive, very difficult to remove. So yeah, an interesting card. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but the art is just insane.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, Carl's actually one of my favorite characters from Jungle Book. I was loved him as a kid, and great to see so much personality in this card. And
so big. It never ends.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So the last card we have in Emerald today is Malicious, Mean, and Scary. This is the 3-cost inkable song. Put a 1 damage counter on all opposing characters, which is actually, dealing 1 damage to all characters for a 3-cost song, not bad at all, and it gets around resist. So yeah, super good. A lot of people immediately pointed out the synergy you can play your Prince Philip with Ward, sing this song, and then shift on the Prince Philip Vanquisher of Foes, exactly, to banish all of your opponent's characters. So yeah, do really like this one. Great for Mateus's damage deck that I've mentioned constantly. He's going to be excited with this one on. And I love this song, so it's really cool to see more.
It's all the Vikings, right? It's like, this is the Viking set. I'm loving it. I wonder if their pub is gonna be found. A version of their pub will be found in their woods.
Yeah, well, we already saw the Snuggly Duckling, and maybe we'll see another.
I just mean another one in the new woods, right? Bitter Woods or Bitter Forest. I don't remember the name.
I got a dream, and I love this card.
A dream.
So let's drop those all into the tracker now. I don't know if any of these cards are going to hugely shake up the meta, but definitely interesting. I mean, I think Finnick is definitely going to be one that's going into pretty much every Emerald deck, but we'll see about the rest. And then we're going to go over to Ruby. So starting us off in Ruby is a card that was announced just today. It's Peter Pan, High Flyer, 3-cost inkable, 1/3, questing for 2, evasive. Our replacement for Minnie Mouse Stylish Surfer, a card that was a menace, a complete menace in the set 3 metagame, and Peter Pan is here with the same stat line. I think kind of fallen out. There are a lot of really good evasive characters that you probably want to play in this slot, but always nice to see Peter Pan, and beautiful art, beautiful lighting.
It's a good quester, right? I think that's where Minnie had such potential at the time as well. But yeah, I don't know, like you said, what we have in hand, what we can do. But I almost feel like they start after the reprint and the rotation. It's almost like Ravensburg is trying to recreate Ruby with different visuals, right? So like that's the mini one. Like I hope they bring back a Be Prepared one with another villain singing that. We'll see.
We'll see. I think Ruby getting a bit of support because it kind of got nerfed so hard in the previous set. A new character now. This is Hermes, Harried Messenger, 3-cost inkable, 3/3, questing for 1 rush. Yeah, I'm honestly, I always joke about like when you get something like Markowski from Wreck-It Ralph, a character that I don't even think is named in the film, before you get like one of the very iconic characters like Hermes, played by Pauly Shore, I think is the actor, as a comedian, and such a unique character. Finally seeing him in the game. Another bit of power creep because he is the same stat line as Rafiki, Mysterious Sage from set 1, except he's inkable. Rafiki, a card that people would run in the early sets, but then stopped. But now you have an inkable version of him, and I think being able to come in rushing for 3 strength in this metagame is going to be quite good.
Yeah, and of course Rafiki is out of competitive play as
Yeah,
well,
he's
so
been
they just
rotated,
probably thought, oh, it's worth it if it is inkable.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, we have Tinkerbell, Temperamental Fairy, 5-cost inkable, 5/3 questing for 1. She's a Floodbond. She'll shift in at 3 and has the ability Harmless Diversion. When you play this character, exert chosen opposing character with 2 strength or less. So nice to see Ruby getting the ability to exert some characters, kind of like Amethyst. It's just with the condition that it's based on strength, which is how a lot of Ruby removal and abilities kind of interact. So pretty good one. If we have some low cost Tinkerbells you can shift her onto, then
3 on 3.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, one to watch. Don't know if it's going to shake up the meta straight away. And next up we have Brooklyn, second in command, a 2-cost inkable, 3/2 questing for 1 evasive with Stone by Day. If you have 3 or more cards in your hand, this character can't ready. So normally in this slot, the start line tends to be 3/1 for evasives. So a 3/2 evasive in this slot really good because he can cleanly take out Dumbo. The, of course, downside with something like Brooklyn is the Stone by Day ability. So we'll have to see. I think kind of when the gargoyles cost like 4 or 5, then by that point of the game, you normally are down to 1 or 2 cards versus Brooklyn, who maybe by the time he's going to get to ready, you may have more than the 3 cards in your hand. So I think that's kind of the balance you've got to strike there.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to have him in the game. And then last for us up in Ruby, a card Mattis is very excited about. Lady Tremaine, Sinister Socialite, 5-cost, uninkable, 5/4, questing for 2. She's a Whisper, so she can be boosted for 2 and has quite an ability. So let's read it. It's Expedient
Schemes. Yeah.
Whenever this character quests, so she has to quest. If you've put a card under her this turn, so you have to have boosted her before she quests, you may play an action with a cost 5 or less from your discard for free. Then put that action card on the bottom of your deck instead of into your discard. So an effect similar to Max Goof. The difference here is Lady Tremaine is not a Floodbond like Max Goof chart topper, so your opponent will know she's going to quest if you have her, and then at that point you do need to pay that extra 2 ink. But the benefits of Lady Tremaine is that it's not just a song, you can grab actions as well. So in Ruby, something like Dragonfire, and also it's a 5-cost rather than a 4-cost, and it is oftentimes between a 4 and a 5-cost action, it does make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see. Max Goof was a card that a lot of people were excited about. I think he hasn't got enough of the tools yet, but maybe we're going to see a Ruby Emerald deck that's going to be kind of trying to recur the actions and the songs. So maybe they'll pair together, maybe not, but one to watch, I think, just because being able to play stuff for free, or at least for 2 ink, is pretty good.
It is really, really interesting because Max Goof came to replace kind of, right, the Ursula that got rotated out. So it was almost like a safer version of Ursula to make the game feel more balanced, right? I feel like that's the same approach of Tremaine. They didn't want to push too hard. But it's interesting because when I first saw this card revealed this week during the main stage, I read this completely wrong. I first read that it would be on play as well, which is not the case. I actually thought the action will go to the top of your deck. So you use the action to go to the top, so you get that action again, which is not the case. It actually goes to your bottom. But not only that, another thing that is important, I think, to highlight is because it goes to the bottom of your deck and not your discard, there's also not the synergy with the shark. Maui Shark in a way, if you wanted to get from your discard, because it'll be cool if somebody goes back to your discard and with your Maui you can bring it back, right? But nevertheless, I think it's a card needed. I think we are looking for those removals, but it's a very hard removal to trigger, right? With all the things you said, right? At least she has enough strength and willpower that hopefully if there's any removal that is based on those values, she's quite high on that.
And she is serving in this card.
Oh, she's amazing.
We always love
again another Whisper. I think one point that they mentioned in the main stage as well is I'm gonna quote this wrong and apologize. It's interesting that she's not fully because the definition of Whispers are unfinished glimmers, right? Which is the case, she's unfinished, but it's almost like she's less finished than the other unfinished glimmers. I think that's kind of what they're trying to say. Maybe I misunderstood, but what is also cool is the shape of her Whisper energy is very Ruby. Is all the sharp edges, right, of the thunder. So that makes me think every single whisper are following their ink language, right? Which is, again, another stunning job from the art team to keep an eye on that. You can clearly see she's a villain simply by looking at the shape of their soul and their whisper elements as well. Yeah.
That's super, super nice. So,
and one more comment.
Go on. Well, give the comment whilst we update the tracker.
The tracker updating is another card from Mariana Moreno. And when I saw this, I was like, this card is going to be so strong. Mariana Moreno created the strongest card last set, which is Dumbo.
Okay.
And all this one, I was like, oh my God, 2 in a row. But no, maybe that's not as strong as I thought.
Yeah, I don't think Lady Tremaine is the strongest Dumbo.
No.
So, okay, let us go over to Sapphire. And we're going to start out with Judy Hopps, lead detective, 6-cost inkable, 6/4, questing for 2. Floodborn, she can shift in at 4. With the ability Lateral Thinking, during your turn, your detective characters gain alert and resist +2, which is pretty nice. It's going to mean that if you're building kind of a detective deck, you have the tools on your turn to be able to deal with your opponent's board and hopefully keep your characters around. It's a shame it's only on your turn. I think that makes it a little bit weaker, but still nice card. Sure, it's going to be a lot of fun to play with in some casual decks, and we'll see if it makes competitive play.
And obviously, I think sometimes you might not notice, but she's a detective. This card works for her. So even herself is getting the alert and the resist +2.
Yeah.
So she's already so buffed by willpower. She has resist +2 and alert. And as a reminder, alert just means that a character with a keyword alert is able to challenge evasive characters, even though they are not evasive themselves. Yeah.
And I need you to do a fashion video, Matthias, because this is another outfit.
So many, yes.
Next up, we have the Sultan, Playful Monica, 1-cost and inkable, 1/1, questing for 2. A very familiar stat line. Here's a vanilla card. This is the same as Lilo and Maleficent from set 1. And we're
not familiar for Sapphire.
Not familiar for Sapphire. So do they want us to build aggro decks in Sapphire? Who knows? So yeah, cool card revealed by our good friend One More Law, aka Nora, who was actually the voice of Goldie O'Gilt in our reveal. Very, very fun reveal. Obviously showing that she is a UI designer in her day job, because using all of those UI design elements. Really cool, check it out. And next we have Pluto Clever Clue Finder, 2-cost inkable, 2/2, questing for 1, with the ability on the trail, exert. If you have a detective character in play, return an item card from your discard to your hand. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. So interesting one there. If we see item detective decks. I'm not convinced yet we have enough.
It makes sense with the Mickey, and they're just trying to create the whole storyline, right? With Pluto. A big shout to Legends of Lorcana, who revealed this card as well. It was so cute, cute. You have to watch it, like they're looking through the whale, and and then in the dark, it's super fun.
And I was just thinking, why would you want to put the item card on the top of your deck rather than in your hand? And then I remember there is an Oswald Lucky Rabbit.
Right.
When you ink, you play you reveal the top card. If it's an item, you play it for free.
Yeah.
So maybe there's going to be some synergy there. Maybe we're going to see something else, some other cards that allow you to play the top card for free if it's an item. So. Yeah, because otherwise, why would you not want to put it into your hand? Yeah, and sorry, rereading the card because it is worded very awkwardly. This is basically saying if you exert Pluto and you have a detective, you get the card in your hand. If you don't have a detective, it goes on the top of your deck. So you can for sure use him in a deck that doesn't have detectives if you want to synergize with your Oswald. And if you do have detectives in your deck, then it's going to go right. Next, we're going to move on to Promising Lead. This is a 2-cost inkable action. Chosen character gets +1 law and gains support this turn. Similar in effect to something like Helping Hand, which gives chosen character support. And you draw a card. And it's an action that we've seen more as a way to deal with the illusions than it is to necessarily use its effect. I think the fact Promising Lead is inkable is good, but it doesn't draw you a card, so I think I would still probably pick Helping Hand.
Stay with Helping Hand, yeah.
But it does give a little bit more reach to Sapphire, so maybe you'll see it.
It's interesting that it's still both from Zootopia as well, like the effect.
True, yeah. Next, we have Ink Amplifier, 3-cost inkable item. Energy Capture is the ability whenever an opponent draws a card during their turn. If it's the second card they've drawn this turn, you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and inserted. Which it's an interesting one. It kind of is a nice countermeasure to Amethyst decks that are going to be drawing a lot. Even Steel decks with something like Dock now where they're drawing cards. So it could be a good way to kind of give you that advantage on your next turn. But I also feel like your opponent could just maybe play around this, but maybe that's what they want. Like your opponent doesn't draw as many cards, you don't get as much ink, but at least they don't have the card advantage. I think the only issue maybe is that it's a 3-cost item, so you are, you know, giving up tempo to play this. You're not playing a character that's affecting the board state. So I don't know. I really don't know about this one. It could either be really awesome or just never cease play.
There's two things to that, because I'm rolling my eye here. My eye rolling was because I know that's the identity of Sapphire, but why do they have to have every single element of ramping? But that's okay. That's another conversation. I do like, at least I can appreciate that it is affecting by how the opponent plays. So there is the choice. I like it when an item or an ability puts the pressure on the opponent, so they have to play around that, right? Much more than if this was on your own turn. When you do the second card or you draw the second card, you do that effect. So that's fair, but I also agree that I'm not sure yet the success of this card for this meta.
Me too. So next up we have Inkborn. This is a 2-cost inkable item. It has 2 abilities. The first one is pre-flight check. When you play this item, draw a card. Very good. And ready to ride, exert, pay 1, chosen character gains alert this turn. And actually I do think this one maybe will find a place in decks that kind of need to counter the evasives in the metagame. I was playing in the set championships today against Emerald Sapphire, and both times I was playing those matches, my opponent said, I really wish I had a tool to be able to deal with the evasive characters that I had in my Blurple deck. And I think something like this, the fact it draws a card means that, you know, it's replacing itself, which is always great. And then being able to just keep giving alert turn after turn to be able to deal with the evasive threats, I think really could be quite impactful. So as a tech card for evasives in the metagame, I definitely like this one.
It is a huge evasive metagame at the moment, right? They did say on the team as well on the review that it was kind of their new take for Popsicle, obviously. Obviously it's different, the second effect is different. But if anything, I think the second effect is even stronger than what we had for Popsicle. But also it costs you, right?
And maybe this is going to facilitate those item decks again. We'll have to see. And then the last card we have in Sapphire for today is Genie. What's that in Italian, Matthias?
I don't know what is in Dagatrice. Maybe it's Curious Mind?
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know. We gotta go with Curious Mind right now.
5-cost inkable 4/7, questing for 2 vanilla. Decent start line. Not much more to say. I think you probably, in the metagame you will often want to play a character that does something when you play them rather than just having the that extra bit of willpower. So not so sure that this Genie will see play, but we have plenty of playable Genies in the metagame, so not too bad. So let's update the tracker with those. And then we're going to go to Steel. Okay, first up for us in Steel, we have Inspector Tezuka, thank you. Resolute Officer, 2-cost inkable, 2/3, questing for 1 bodyguard. Also a detective. We're seeing the detective keyword pop up a lot here. Love the character design on this card. Really, really cool. And yeah, replacing a Simba in Steel, who was a bodyguard that costs 2. So good to have this start line back.
Yes.
Next up, we have the Twins Lost Boy, 6-cost inkable, 5/5, questing for 2, with the ability 2 for 1. When you play this character, if you have a location in play, you may deal 2 damage to chosen character. Good stats, really, really good stats. And being able to deal 2 is a pretty good ability as well. I think maybe the issue is that not many decks that could take advantage of a card like this, like Sapphire Steel, is really running any locations. And I don't know if you're going to want to put a location in just to be able to trigger this ability, but if there's a location that really facilitates the Sapphire Steel game plan, maybe you would do that, and in which case you get a 5/5 questing for 2 that does 2 damage. So nice to have kind of fire the cannons on a body. Next up, we have the Fairy Godmother Magical Benefactor, 4-cost uninkable, 3/5, questing for 1. She's a Whisper, you can boost her for 3, and has the ability Stunning Transformation. Whenever you put a card under this character, you may banish chosen opposing character. If you do, their player may reveal the top card of their deck. If that card is a character card or item card, they may play it for free. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of the deck. So it's kind of a little bit of removal for Steel, and it's interesting. For me, I would say this is probably something that should be in Ruby, because it feels like very targeted removal. It's not damage based removal, but I'm not a TCG game designer. But an interesting one. I think oftentimes, like if you're targeting your opponent's best thing in their deck, like if you're playing an Emerald deck and they have a Clarabelle, they're not going to get something better off their deck than Clarabelle, so you're going to be happy to kind of use this ability. But you could also scout ahead. So Merlin's Cottage is one that is a location that will show you the top card of your opponent's deck and your deck, so you can then make a more informed decision if you're going to be replacing their character with something better, or also something like the Mad Hatter Eccentric Host, which is one of Matthias's favorite cards, and someone was using in the set champs today, which was crazy.
Yeah.
So you can kind of quest with him, see what your opponent has on the top, and then choose whether you want to fire the Fairy Godmother's ability or not. But even just like thematically, I love the idea of this ability, just the fact that she's converting one character into potentially another character.
Yeah.
So really cool one. I'll be interested to see what people do with the Fairy Godmother.
But yeah, I cannot go around in my mind that should have been a Ruby card, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like when you think overall, it feels like this card is stronger than the Lady Tremaine. It's easier to make this card work.
Probably. Yeah.
Like obviously the cost is high. It's an inkable, blah, blah, blah. It's a boost of 3, right? Yeah. But this is literally, it's any character in the board you can choose and pick, and you can keep doing it.
Yeah.
Versus Tremaine that you have to find the action.
Yeah.
It's like you're looking for an action. Here is like a one-off. I almost feel like that should have been Tremaine.
Yeah.
Right? This effect should have been for Tremaine instead. Yeah.
So interesting one. Even it could have even been Amber. Like I feel like
it's just not steel, right? Do you think it could be something to do with the random element of but you're not even discarding, because I'm thinking on the draw and discard, but it's not. There's nothing steel here.
I know. I'm struggling to understand how it's a steel card as well, but hey, that's just us. Next up we have But I'm Much Faster, 1-cost Inkable Song. Chosen character gains alert and challenger +2 this turn. I do think this is actually a really
good card.
Really good card.
Yeah.
Again, we know how many evasives there are in the metagame, so being able to give a character alert, really good. Being able to then also give them challenger +2. So now measly Captain Hook can take out a genie. Think about that.
And it is a song.
And it's a song.
Which also is a big deal. A song of one. Any single character having a board, you'll be able to sing the song. You know what I'm doing?
So I'm playing my Hook. I'm playing my Calhoun. You play your Dumbo. I'm going to have my Hook sing this. My Calhoun's going to challenge your Dumbo and take it out. So, and then the other thing to mention as well is it can also be a way to deal with your opponent's illusion cards, because you can target them with this as well. So it's pay 1 to banish them. So really
everyone
like
should
this.
run this.
I think this is going to be showing up in a lot of steel decks going forward. Next up, we have Zootopia Police Headquarters, 1-cost inkable location, move cost of 1, willpower of 4, and it generates 1 more per turn. And it also has the ability New Information. Once during your turn, whenever you move a character here, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. Similar to the Bayou location that rotated out, so a location that helps you essentially filter through your deck. It does have that extra willpower, which is nice, but it is... I think the Bayou, you had to quest whilst there to get this effect. This, you just have to move a character there, but it means you can't do it with the same character over and over again. But yeah, interesting one. We'll see if it sees play, maybe more in a location focus deck rather than just get your run-of-the-mill.
And at least it's in the same color as the twins that we just talked about, which needed a location.
Yeah, this is a very cheap. And the last card for us today in Steel is Ingenious Device. This is a 3-cost uninkable item. It has 2 abilities. The first one is Souvenir. Exert, pay 2 ink, banish this item, draw a card, then choose and discard a card, and time flies during your turn when this item is banished. Deal 3 damage to chosen character or location. So what's cool about this is if you don't have anything that will naturally banish the item, then you can use its ability to banish it. You can use Souvenir and then get the draw or discard effect. But because the second ability is separate, it just triggers when the item is banished, which means you can banish it with something like Belle, Apprentice Inventor, even Judy Hopps, right, to draw a card from a banished item whilst also dealing the 3 damage to your opponent. So I really like, I mean, it feels like this is where they're kind of going, maybe with the Steel identity around items and removal. And yeah, I think this one is really interesting. I think it might be the card that is needed to give Sapphire Steel items kind of the lift it needed.
Is this from Captain Hook? I'm trying to remember.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool.
That's really cool. So we're gonna update all of the steel cards there into the tracker. And then that will do us for today. So loads of really fun cards. Like my brain is like sparking for constructed, for limited formats, for theme decks. There's just so much coming.
Whispers. I love Whispers.
Yeah, I feel like this set is like, I can't remember a set that's introduced so many interesting cards, created so much new design space as well.
Even when we're touching just the Stun by Day, which is a mechanic, but a mechanic specific for that type of synergy is just so cool. Everything is being so clever for this set, and I think coming from a almost fully reprinted set previously, I'm
this is
over the moon.
Quite the palette cleanser after that. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, do be sure to like it and subscribe, because we're gonna have so much more content. We've got more cards to talk about when they're revealed, so stick around, because it's definitely the place to be here at Inkborn Heroes.
Sorry, I agree.
Good.
And thank you so much again for all the YouTube members. Your support really means a lot to us. And if you want to find out more about how to be a YouTube member yourself, hopefully the AI is just a highlight. Is the AI?
I don't know if
AI? The automatic brains in the sky is like highlighting the button right now, so you can get to know more of what you get by being a YouTube member. And really, stick around. We're gonna have many more videos coming. And until next time, happy questing.
Happy questing.